Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It is Thursday afternoon here in the Eastern time zone of the USA. It is 1832 Zulu on June 20th, 2024. This is the Manufacturer Showcase brought to you by DX Engineering. And this is a show where we interview one of the over 170 different manufacturers that we represent here at DX Engineering. So if you're looking for something in the amateur radio or communications hobbies, this is the place to go. Today we have the inventor and builder and everything of RigSelect. It's Courtney, KD6X. Hello, Courtney.
Good morning from California. Good afternoon to you, Tim. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on, Courtney. Courtney, I'm going to be showing some of the website as well with photos of your magic box. But let's talk about your box, and let me know when you see the photo of it up on the screen as well. But go ahead and start telling us all about RigSelect.
Okay, well, RigSelect is a very powerful but yet easy to use, and I want to stress easy to use, radio switch box. It will switch the audio or headset, microphone, key or paddle, and push to talk between any of four radios, and it can switch very, very quickly. There's at least...
You see it up on the screen?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, great. So walk us through the front panel here.
Okay, that's a good place to start. I actually had some slides with this, but yours are much nicer. Anyway, so there's a little liquid crystal display. Actually, it's not an OLED, and you can leave it on. It doesn't have any burn-in issues. They will show you what's going on. It's also a built-in menu that you can access through that with that little display. There are 4 buttons, and this is where the easy part comes in. If you've got up to 4 radios connected and you want to switch between any of those radios, you just press the button and everything will be switched to that radio. If you're a CW guy, it also has a WinKeyer 3.1 built in. So you have the CW speed. It will show you when CW is being generated by the WinKeyer with the yellow LED closest to the buttons. Push to talk is highlighted there in the middle. And of course, there's a power with an on-off switch. And that's a pretty basic, simple front panel. But it's amazing what's going on inside the box and what it can do for people. There's at least 2 types of people that would really love, I think, a product like this. The first is the ham who might have multiple radios. And this might be multiple HF radios, which is my case. I have a K2, 3, and 4. Or it might be somebody who has an HF, VHF, and UHF rigs and wants to switch between them. Basically makes switching between these radios as easy as switching between antennas. It cleans up station wiring. You can do over-the-air comparisons and so on. This is the rear panel. There's sort of 5 basic groups. On the left is the audio input. This is where you would connect the audio signal coming in from each of the radios. Next is the microphone. This is where you would connect the output from here going to the microphone input on each of the radios. All these are the regular 3.5 millimeter stereo plugs that are available pretty much anywhere. On the far right, you have where you would connect to the key and paddle on each radio, and the PTT out obviously is where you would connect from the push to talk output signal coming from here to the PTT input on the radio. The center group is probably the most interesting. This is the common group where everything switches in. So you have your audio output, this is where you would plug in your headphones or speakers. The mic input, this is where you would plug in your mic. The paddle or key is where you would plug your key, your paddle in, your keyer in, or a straight key, whatever you want to use. Again, bear in mind that you don't need to use that because the RigSelect does have the original WinKeyer in it. And then the same with the PTT. We have a 12-volt DC input, and It actually will run anywhere from about 6 to 15 plus volts. There's an internal regulator, so I just put a number there, but it will pretty much take anything. Now, the coolest thing here is there are 2 USB Type-C connections, and there are 3 virtual ports that will be presented, virtual serial ports that will be presented from these. The first is, and it's on the USB run. USB run is a FTDI chip. It's a dual FTDI UART chip, and it presents 2 virtual serial ports. The first of those serial ports can connect to your radio, and that's where you would send your WinKeyer commands. And the second port is for the OTRSP. And OTRSP stands for Online 2 Radio Switching Protocol. This was invented by Paul Young, K1XM, and is a standard for communicating between, a logging program and a switch box such as this. The USB-C farther to the right is actually a direct connection into the microprocessor, the Arduino type microprocessor that's being used. It's an Arduino Mega processor. And this is where you can connect an app. The app is not necessary to use. You can connect directly, from a logging program right into RigSelect without any other software. You don't, need anything else. But if you want to, there is a free app that is available. And this app, kind of does the same thing as the little front panel, but it's a bit easier to use because it's a GUI environment as opposed to a front panel menu. So you can use either or both. You can also update firmware through that particular port. So
that is really, you've got everything you could think of there, Courtney, and just look at the construction of the main board. Just outstanding.
Yeah, the important parts that you may want to replace are all socketed, which is always a good thing. You can sort of see that Arduino type processor, the Mega, that's the big square thing in the middle that you've got centered on there. The WinKeyer chip is the dip chip way to the far left on the screen. You're centering it up. There you go. And with a little white dot on it, that's the WinKeyer chip, and it's socketed if you ever want to replace that, or there's some upgrades. The WinKeyers can be, I think, upgraded with flash as well. And then there's a logic array, which is the other square box that's just off the screen. There you go. That's a logic array that does most of the push-to-talk logic controls. So there's a kind of a lot of cool things you can do with the switching, and that's a central component of it. That's a nice picture of the box with the lid off, which is how I leave mine most of the time. It's an extruded aluminum chassis. It's all aluminum construction. Front panels and rear panels are all aluminum. So it's very, very RFI proof. One of the things, and actually it's been a very serious design goal, because I have a very high RF environment. I have a small hex beam that's about 25 feet away, and if I run 500 watts into it, I'm pretty well bathed in RF, and everything in the shack is as well. So RFI resistance was high on my list of things to accomplish. This is the display board that goes right behind that front panel, and there's a little bracket a 3D printed bracket that it plugs into, that I think you have in one of the other photos there, Tim. Yep, that's a little 3D printed bracket, and you can see the back of the display assembly right there, and that just connects right up with a little ribbon cable to that display board. So there's actually no point-to-point wiring. It's all done, by stuff plugging together. Now this is great. You can make it bigger. This is just sort of a basic connection diagram from the manual, kind of showing a typical rig and how you might connect things. You can see the USB connections going to 2 different USB ports on the computer, and you can see where you would plug. If you scoot it up just a little bit there, thank you. You can see where you plug the headphones, the push-to-talk switch, and a paddle in, as well. So, and the headphones and mic. So it's a headset with a built-in mic, so you can see two lines going up there. And then there's a typical radio connection, the push to talk, the key paddle, the mic, and the headphones from the radio plug into the respective larger groupings. So it's very easy to connect, depending on the what's on the back of your radio. Most of these functions, I think, these days are being done by 3.5 millimeter stereo jacks, so it's quite easy to cable up.
How about this manual, Corey? Courtney, do you see the manual that I'm showing?
I see the diagram from the manual, but
okay. You don't see the manual itself. I did note that you have a 50-page manual there.
Yeah. This is it right here.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, see if I can get a bit close up there, shot. This is version 3.4, and it was created about a month and a half ago. And I try to keep it up to date because I've been getting some great feedback from a lot of users with some ideas and suggestions that we can implement in the firmware. And as I do that, then I add them into the manual as well. So,
no, it has been tremendous. Your ability to talk to customers and explain the functions of the box is just outstanding. We had a great time with you at Hamvention, and we really were excited to have you in the booth with us. I want to look at the chat here just a second. We have Bobby KF5GTX from Oklahoma City. He says he has a TS480, a TS2000, an ID5100. My goal is to be able to use any radio with any antenna and not have to switch coaxes. Of course, this doesn't do coaxes, but what about interfacing all of the audio and PTT between those radios, Courtney?
Well, I don't know what's on the back of those. They're not familiar to me, so I couldn't say for sure. But I mean, RigSelect is pretty generic. It's not specific to any radio. You just plug those 3.5 millimeter jacks in and connect it to, say, the audio output, the PTT, and the microphone, and away you go. It sounds like what KF5GTX is looking for, though, is a antenna switch. This is a radio switch. So this switches the radios, right. And the two would work very much hand in hand. I mean, you'd really want to do both. If you're switching, say, on the air, and you want to test out a radio or a different antenna, you have to switch that antenna to the radio, but then this will allow you to switch the radio in place. So you can do, say, side-by-side comparisons. Different radios, same antenna, different radios, different antennas, however you wanted to slice and dice it.
Right. And Courtney, there's a lot of information on the website on dxengineering.com. Just type in RigSelect, all together, RigSelect, into the search box, and it'll come right up. And of course, we have them in stock. So, if you place your order before 10 o'clock tonight Eastern time, it's going to ship tonight. And that's what's really cool. But it's great also, like all of our manufacturers, you take feedback and you're always willing to listen to the customers. And that is just tremendous. This box has a lot of functionality, and it's really great that you support it the way you do.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's kind of a labor of love. I've enjoyed bringing it to the community, and I'm very happy to do whatever I can to make it better.
And we've got Andrew on here. Andrew says he's Victor Kilo 4 Alpha. It's still sort of the middle of the night over in Australia. He says, is there capability to listen to two rigs at once as an SO2R?
Yes, and you can even go farther than that. So it definitely does two rigs at once, say radio 1 in the left ear and radio 2 in the right ear. Interestingly enough, we just added a feature. The audio switching is actually done with solid state relays, and it's an array of 16 relays. And we put in the ability for a user to directly control all those relays individually if they want to. And so what you can actually do is close the relay for the audio relay, say, on the tip channel for radio 3. And then you can overlay radio 3 and radio 1 into the same earpiece.
Wow.
And that gets pretty crazy. I mean, it make my brain explode, but there are people who can handle that. So
No,
we're happy to give them the tools to work with.
that's great. And I know you really tapped into some high level single operator 2 radio guys to develop a lot of the functionality here. So
Yeah,
kudos.
absolutely. I've had a very, very great bunch of beta testers that have given me a lot of help getting the feature set right.
And we've got Steve asked the question, can you cascade multiple RigSelect boxes?
Ooh, great idea. I'd have to think about that a little bit. There's the good question.
Maybe think about that a little bit,
Yeah.
Courtney.
Great idea. I'd have to. Maybe there's an app note coming for that.
All right, that sounds great. Courtney, thanks so much for coming on today with us. It was great to have you here, and we are going to have you on again soon to get in depth with a couple of things, and maybe even bring one of your beta tester power users on with us as well to talk about the application in their shack in particular. But if you need more information, go to the DX Engineering website. You can also contact Courtney directly. Go to his qrz.com page, and his email address is there. Courtney, thanks so much.
Tim, thank you for having me on here today. You've got a great team at DX Engineering, and I'm proud to be associated with you folks.
Well, we're glad to have you on board. And thanks to all of you for watching. Until next time, 73 from DX Engineering.